I'm sure I'm not the first to have met Colin botting a cigarette. 9 years ago, at a fringe festival trivia night, I ventured out the back of the tap room when you were allowed to smoke there. I met this white-haired, bearded, Gandalf-looking man with kind eyes. On this evening, I also met Scott Sanders. We all got stoned, swapped numbers with Scott, and we wandered off our separate ways into the night. I'm so glad of that day. I nearly didn't go to that event, so when I started doing a bit of radio with Scott, I got to know Colin, and Colin and Scott were very good friends. And being the tech radio whiz that Colin was, he sort of helped me learn Audacity and do radio well enough. So fast forward to 2019, Colin and I, I joined Colin's show Live and Local to co-present with him. And at this time we developed a close friendship and a sweet love. We cared deeply for each other, and it followed the year after my brother died. So being around Colin helped me feel safe in the world. So hanging out with Colin for me meant Sunday mornings at his house gardening, and in the afternoon at the bridge seeing bands, live music. His friendship to me was healing. Colin would tell me stories of his life, his career, his family, his loves. I met his sister and two brothers and his niece Tara. But he talked about so many family members and friends, and he would tell me his feelings for his friends. And he met his friends where they were at. He was sensitive, he was sentimental, he was romantic. And a couple of quotes that Colin shared with me, which I found in a diary that I've written. Love is an irresistible desire to be irresistibly desired. You can hear Colin saying that, yeah. So he told me that's a quote from Robert Frost. And then I had this other quote, and it had in brackets Colin, so I thought it was Colin's quote. To love and be loved is to be warmed from both sides. So I googled it, and it's actually not Colin's, but that's okay. It's David Fiscott, which is actually to love and be loved is to feel the sun from both sides. As our friendship shifted and weaved over the years, I'm really glad that when I met up with him for a drink, we could still say I love you. And I think that's just really beautiful to have a friend like that. And I wrote a poem years ago, which I gave to Colin, and I feel a bit vulnerable sharing it with you, but I will, because it's Colin's funeral, and it sums up my feelings. When the pull of the waves, the soothing salt water wraps around my whole body, completely immersed, it's like a drug that makes everything calm. So I float through my days and gently fall asleep, thinking of you. It's a feeling I get, and it doesn't make sense. Is this a loving friendship? If so, I'll take this every day. But when the sea gets rough and the undertow pulls, I anchor myself, and inner strength brings me back to the shore, where I lie in the sun and bathe in the comfort of our friendship. Thank you.
So many feels. Friendship, what a gift. Is there anyone else that would like to take this chance? Please.
Hi, Ange Wilson, and Colin was in the New King Coles, and he was a foundation member of the group. I want to share with you how I clearly remember Colin coming into the Five Flags Hotel one Friday night, I think it was, probably an open mic down there, no worries. He came in with Rex Watts, and they really started to become, really, I guess, the legends that they may be, that have formed. And I was at home in the Pole House at 60 Bowden Street with Helen, and Marty Neal came in, and I said, "Hey Marty, do you want to make a group?" And then Colin came in just at the same time, and I went, well, Cole, do you want to make a group too? So we were a trio for a while, and then Terry Byrne joined the group, and so there's some pretty heavy baggage going on in that group. And then Rex thought, well, that looks like a whole lot of fun. Can I join too? So we sort of multiplied, like kind of like magic mushrooms, I suppose, in the paddock. And I'm always super grateful to Colin for introducing me to the vast array of Grateful Dead music. He actually had the music sheets and we pored over them, and I discovered that the Grateful Dead music is really not that hard, you know, it's kind of, they make it sound hard, but it's okay for, you know, idiots like us to join along. And then Jono Lasham joined the group, and so we're in a pretty deadly band there. So, but what I'll leave you with really is that Colin was a terrific taper, and the tapers are famous in Grateful Dead land they didn't mind people taping their concerts, whereas a lot of groups didn't like it, but the Grateful Dead did like it, and it added to their fame by people just sharing cassettes and things, I think. And then one of the first files ever shared on the internet was a Grateful Dead song from MIT, sending it to somewhere. So whereas the military took over the internet, but initially it was sort of freaky people sharing their files over the net. So Colin, in that regard, would record everything, as you know, he'd record everything, every scrap of music. Got very frustrated in the end at doing the live shows because people would talk And but nonetheless, he'd still play it on the radio. And if you remember his open mic, live and local, you know, there was a lot of stuff that went out there, and I just want to say we recorded a track when Jan Palthorpe was kind enough to join the New King Coles after Rex passed away, and we made a recording, and Colin also was quite quirky, you know, quirky with his sound effects and other things that he'd have. So on this lilting song that we had, he put a lot of seagulls on the song. So little snippets of seagulls was okay, and he had a wave that would go. So it had this repetitive wave going, and it had the seagulls going, which was okay for a while, but I remember one version one night, because I listened to the show and he'd play a lot of my stuff, and God bless him for that, was that he had played the seagulls right through the track. So there was at least 5 minutes of seagulls. I did have an obituary that I read on radio the other day to Colin, but mercifully for you guys, I've left it in the car. So, I just want to thank Colin from the bottom of my heart for everything that he gave to me musically, and supporting the band on radio and Jermaine FM, and I feel it's an end of an era in some ways, and I look around for the old people at the funeral and realise that it's us. So, thank you very much, Colin. You've been a good friend. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Stu Davis, the drummer with the New King Coles. I came to Castlemaine from Melbourne about 10 years ago, and one of the first gigs I did here, Colin came up and said, "Do you mind if I take you, record you?" I said, "Oh, what are you using?" He said, "I've got an H42, HM2, and I said, "Oh, I've got the H4N," and we talked about recordings, and he said, "Oh, great, let's do it." So I played a few tracks, and he said, "Oh, these are great, keep going." You know, I needed a bit of confidence to be here, and he said, "Just do some more next time." So every time I saw him, he was just winding me up, and then he said, You just played guitar?" I said, "Oh, I played the drums." He said, "Oh, we need someone to back up this. How about you have a go?" And there was another drummer in the crowd, and we sort of worked out he was going to do it. Anyway, I ended up playing with the Rex Watts band, and that flowed into the New King Coles, which was such a delight to get back on the kit, because I played the kit for a few years. But Colin was once again very enthusiastic, and gave me a lot of confidence to continue and to play with the band. And when we recorded the album, which was the Golden Ox album, which is available on Bandcamp, fantastic sounds that we created. And he was very proud of that, and I think we had wall-to-wall coverage on Main FM for about a month. Every couple of tracks there was a New King Coles track. My love for the Grateful Dead began a long time ago, and when I found out that Colin was into the Dead, we couldn't stop talking about it. The Grateful Dead are not everyone's cup of tea, and I know there wasn't many people I knew who were right into it, but Colin was. And one of his quotes, which I'll finish on, was, I said to him one day, "What have you been listening to, any new music?" And he said, "Oh, no mate, not really." He said, "Oh, I just listen to the Dead now." He said, "There's enough of that." He said, that's really all I've got time for." And if you go on YouTube and check the number of albums that they've got on there, you'll know what I mean. You could listen to it for about 10 years. It's so much. Anyway, it was great to know him. I'm so pleased that we got to play with him in the band and you got to talk to him at the gigs. And he will be missed. But thanks, Colin.
Privilege as an ex-librarian, I do love a good story, and that these are way up there. I really would like to make sure that everyone feels comfortable and they've had an opportunity to come forward. Is there anyone else? People at the back? Thank you very much to everyone for telling us more about Colin. It's been a privilege to experience such an extraordinary collection of stories. I'm glad it's been recorded because sometimes you think you'll forget, and we often do. The family would now like to present a visual tribute, a collection of photos that capture some of the moments and memories of Colin's life, and a chance for us to quietly reflect and celebrate his time with us.
Love like